Welcome to the Fantasy Football Forge. My name is Steve, and here we are post Combine, continuing this series on the players, the prospects that will be entering the 2023 NFL Draft. And this is based on the Combine athletic and physical numbers that we received. You can find the chart on the screen at www.theFFforge.com. If you tried going there recently and had issues with the website, my mistake, but it's all up and running again. Well, I don't think it was my mistake, but it's all working. So I also provided links to these so that way you can download them if you would like to have this information. You want to do something different with it. There you go. In this video, I will be covering the thumbnail is a little misleading. Top 4 prospects at the linebacker position. The whole point of this series is to celebrate what the potential of these guys are at this point in the season, at this point in their careers. I'm not interested in picking them apart, finding all the flaws that I can find. I'm more interested in seeing what they could potentially become. I think that's what this time of the season's for. That's why I think you see a lot of people focusing on the positive during the draft time. I know that can be a complaint, but too bad. And I don't care if those positives are for a first-round draft pick or an undrafted free agent type of guy. I like them all the same. As far as how this process goes, last year I had no clue about anybody entering the draft at the time of doing this process, and some of the names that stuck out to me were Brandon Smith, Troy Anderson, Channing Tindall, Leo Chanel, Quay Walker, and Chad Muma. So I think some pretty successful names there. Obviously, a lot of them were more early draft guys, but hey, athletics and just a physical size of these guys, it does have a fair bit to do with where they're going to end up getting drafted, but it's only part of the puzzle. And so I want to just put a reminder out there. This is focused on those two aspects, the athletics, the physical traits, not everything else. This season, I am more aware of the talent entering the draft already going into this process. I'm trying not to let that cloud who I'm choosing for this series, but I am more aware of the players already, and I am looking into them a little bit more before recording these videos, since last year I just did it for myself. But now I want to make sure that I'm a little bit more accurate in what I'm seeing and my thoughts are on these guys. So I have looked at scouting reports, and obviously I am seeing some of the footage of them playing on the field, as you will get some of those clips throughout here, as long as there's no copyright issues with them. I've already run into that one once. So I think we've pretty much covered everything. Just a quick explanation of what you're seeing. I think is mostly pretty easy to see and explain on itself. Here's the mathematics of what the colors technically mean. Those mathematic numbers aren't exact there, but the 8 top percent for anybody who in layman's terms would have rated out as excellent in my color scheme. I don't think you need more explanation than that here. Over here, this is a prospect score. This is not the prospect score. There's flaws to it that I'm very aware of, but it also does a really nice job of, well, let's put it like this. In boxing, there's the term pound for pound, which means regardless of weight class, like this is the best fighter, all bar none. And I like to use that analysis a little bit here for these size adjusted prospect scores, because this is adjusting for how big they are, their frame. I took the pounds divided by their height to get, just the bigger guys, because the NFL is all about fast, big, strong, those types of traits. And so to me, if you give 2 guys that are 6'2", one of them's 200 pounds, one of them's 400 pounds, and they run the same 440, personally, I'm going to be more afraid of the guy who's traveling with not only more weight, but at the same speed anyways. So that's kind of how the athletics here are getting adjusted for this number here. Let's get on to the first guy on this list, and that is Noah Sewell. He is 6'1.5", and Noah's already built to withstand the punishment of the NFL. You just look at him here, grading out an excellent as far as just how big he is. Of course, too big can be an issue too, and there's nothing wrong with being average here. But it is how it is for Noah. He's really, really well built. I don't think you have too many concerns about him withstanding the punishment at the next level. He may not be a sideline to sideline defender, but when you take into account his overall larger size, although he is on the shorter side for a linebacker, he sure can cover some good solid space. He has experience doing a lot of different things in college and thus brings some versatility to the table that may come in handy for certain matchups. I thought he looked very good in the drills at the combine. He was one of the guys that caught my eye, so I was definitely excited to see him stand out in this size adjusted prospect score and just overall on this chart of mine. In some senses, his skill set may have been a better fit for the NFL of 40 years ago than today's modern NFL, and apparently he doesn't have natural instincts on the field, so he's probably not coming in as an impact player on day one. I envision him thriving as a bit of a utility knife that can work as a hybrid boxed safety slash slot corner, but a linebacker, obviously. I'm just saying those are the kinds of roles that I think he could at least help in and take over. Like I said, utility knife type thing. And I imagine him thriving in the running and the blitzing game. He is probably a better match for a 3-4 base D, and I would be fairly excited to get him on day 2 of the draft. But honestly, I think he could end up going anywhere from the first round, probably not, to the 4th round. I think the Lions and the Eagles would make some solid sense as landing spots for him and his skill set. The next guy on my list, and I should have mentioned this right up at the front, these are not put in any kind of specific order for the most part. They're just the way that I found them. The next guy on this list is Jack Campbell. You can find him. Noah Sewell was up here, by the way, and I should just show this is what I meant by he has some good speed for his size adjustment. Now, Jack Campbell here, 5th down on the list. There's his athletics. Take a good peek at that before we get to the clips. Jack Campbell, he is big, and unlike Noah Sewell, he is tall. Once again, maybe he is not a sideline to sideline guy, but I have to imagine that he absolutely thrives in between the tackles as a gap attacker, and that is something that I know that you can see in the clips on Jack Campbell. That shows up in the tape. He should be able to handle his own as a zone defender, but he may struggle in man coverage due to his straight line speed. Something else that I felt showed up in one of the clips where you will see him get beat, as far as I recall. His scouting report says smart, instinctive, and physical, so I would be happy to have Jack as my Mike linebacker quarterbacking the defense. He's probably a best fit for a 4-3 defense, base D, and Noah caught my eye more during the drills at the combine, but personally, based on my taste, even what I see on the tape, I think I would rather have Jack in the heart of my defense. I'm going to put a solid 2nd round draft grade on him. If he could go sideline to sideline, I think that he would be a highly coveted 1st round guy, but he just doesn't really have that in his repertoire. Regardless of when he's drafted, I think that there's going to be a fan base, a team that is super happy to get him and have him on their team. And up next on this list, we have Shaka Heyward all the way down here. Still, it does fine in the size adjustment grade testing, though. Let's actually take a quick look at that before we get to some clips. Oh my gosh. So he ends up testing out average. You see all that red for Shaka. For his size adjustment, not too bad. He can move okay. Of course, the peer numbers still mean a lot in a football game, but because you're going up against other guys. On to Shaka Heyward, who is 6'3". He gave his all at the combine to show off to teams that he should get drafted, and unfortunately, he may not have made a good enough argument with those athleticism numbers. Even if we take it through that other lens, it's still not excellent. But I will tell you what, with his size and length and what appears to be a very solid first step from his 10 split, I think he brings an exciting profile to the table. Assuming he has some solid game IQ and that he plays hard, I would be more than happy to take a shot on him in the later draft, 5th, 6th, 7th round. And on to the last guy here, we have Owen Pappoe, who definitely stood out, made a lot of headlines due to his 40 time. And right there, you can see those, and his bench. Now we're going to probably play some clips. That said, largely, I didn't think that he stood out very much in the on-field drills. and he is on the smaller side for the position. I'm sure he was able to be an impact playmaker at Auburn level. All in all, he is 100% deserving of a shot at the next level. I don't think there's any disputing that. Despite a couple of physical drawbacks which may cap his ceiling. Now on to a couple of notable names, actually 3 of them. The first 2 here, I believe, as far as my memory goes, that both Yasir Abdullah and Jeremy Banks were guys that stood out to me in the on-field drills at the combine. And so you can find them. Yasir Abdullah's right here. Those are his physical numbers. We can take a little quick peek. There's what they look like when you adjust for his size. So that 40 time looks a little nicer. Same with that 10 split. Not that they looked bad. And once again, really liked how he looked on the during the drills. And then the next guy, Jeremy Banks, there one spot below him. You can see the athletics really solid. Shuttle 3-cone don't excite me, but he did look fluid from what I recall on the field drills, and average as far, prototypical, definitely in many ways. And there we go. So still a top 16 percentile there for a lot of his athletics, maybe a 1 in 5 kind of guy. Then there is, of course, one name who you probably are aware of, Trenton Simpson. I believe he is highly touted guy than maybe anybody on the list here, maybe not quite all of them, but he did do quite well at the combine. He is a big name, and my prospect score did like him quite a bit there, so nothing wrong with Trenton. If he would have tested in some other things, I might have gotten a little bit more excited about him and put him all the way up in the list. Maybe it was an oversight not to include him there. I don't know, but it is what it is. We're going to be moving back into the safety spot in tomorrow's video, and then we'll finish up the defense with the cornerbacks the next day. So thank you very much for watching this. Comments if you agree with anything, have any more input on any of these guys, any guys that tested at the combine, maybe are not at the combine. I don't care. I love gems. So any linebackers that you like a lot, you can go into the negative space and say things that you don't like about some guys too. Obviously fine, but I would be happy to learn more about this draft class and learn about what people's thoughts are and what they've been seeing through these guys' college careers. So thank you very much. Take care.